Okay, hi, it's Zish, and I just looked up and I thought I should do a video on this one. So, today is a beautiful day, a real blessing, a treasure. And so, today we see real clouds. And I kind of always say this, like there's the blue, there's the beautiful blue, beautiful cumulus, tumulus cloud, whatever they're called. I was never good at the geography they taught us. So the reason I'm doing this one today is because even though I do talk about the geoengineering and all these things that I've been looking into since I was a kid, when I first read Nick Begich in Nexus magazine, I think it was about 15, 16, and it was on an article called Angels Don't Play the Harp. And over the years come to meet and befriend one of the engineers. He was a MK Ultra in the Navy, a child, and he built 51 harps around the world. And when they would go off, he'd have grand mal seizure. That was from his words, his voice. Friends with Alana Freeland, author of 3 comprehensive books on geoengineering, space fence, lockdowns, and her most recent book on geoengineering and transhumanism. Steiner, teacher, was alive, met Martin Luther King, the Kennedy. I think she met Kennedy in the Rose Garden. And it was very sad for folks during that time. And a lot of folks think the 60s was about sex, drugs and rock and roll, but for people like Alana, it was about teaching, it was about learning. It was about learning macrobiotics, Chinese medicine, and it's been a blessing to meet many folks of that era who have shared the same impulse. Like the Star Wars was written, and Indiana Jones, but Marcia, the George Lucas's wife, Marcia Lucas, she would go to my friend John Barnwell's esoteric bookstore, the Mayflower, the largest esoteric bookstore in Michigan, Detroit. They're all Steiner teachers too, neo-anthroposophists. And they actually helped make Star Wars what it became, because the original script was not very good. And through Marcia reading these books, this is where the original Star Wars came from, the backbone of it, from neo-anthroposophists, teachers in Steiner, Rudolf Steiner teachings. And so, back to today, and ignorance not being bliss, it's okay to look up and go, okay, they're geoengineering. But then the question is, because I'm very solution-based, what am I able to do to protect my family? So, you know, with the geoengineering, can we really call food and herbs organic anymore? I don't think I look at a lot of places actually in the world, and I'm like, wow, it doesn't look like they're geoengineering there today. But we do live. The whole thing is a mystery. The problem becomes when we're under these silly Darwin and suddenly the science is settled. But you know that the roots of science is rooted very much in Plato, in Socrates, in philosophy. So really, we're only ever as good as the questions that we ask. And so when I got into this, like learning how to build the anti-nano buckets, triangles, I was only ever as good as the questions that I had to ask. And then finding wise elders, scholars, that were very authentic in saying, well, we actually don't know what water is. We actually don't know what magnetism is. My question was, what is magnetism? And that led me, who is Tesla? What is 369? And I've looked at the pros, I looked at the cons. It took me into Lukowski, took me to becoming friends with Marco Rodin, learning about the Rodin coil. It was very inspiring. I built many triangles. But anyway, back to this idea of like, okay, ignorance is not bliss. I know it's happening. What can I do? So today in my messenger group, I shared, and on my Facebook, I've shared the ideas inspired by C.S. Lewis and his sci-fi trilogy. So at that time, when C.S. Lewis created his sci-fi trilogy, that was a reaction and a response to the works of H.G. Wells, War of the Worlds. And what I've learned from my Steiner friends is that there was the Inklings. I think there's a man called Owen and C.S. Lewis, Tolkien. And Owen was out of Ireland. And they decided to write their sci-fi version, because H.G. Wells' version was more kind of eugenics, like a lot of the Huxley stuff and a lot of these things. I think it's Huxley's brother. So it's really good that there was this, because in those days, with Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, you can imagine them in Oxford or Cambridge, wherever they were, going to their local tavern, smoking their pipes, talking about God, Christianity. And then, you know, they were like, well, look at H.G. Wells, what he's saying. And then they would have known where he was coming from in his vision. So it's always good to envision and be around those that are envisioning God over God is dead. I'm not talking about Nietzsche, I'm just sort of talking about how the science community is kind of trying to like creating all this Darwinism and putting everything into a box. Sound familiar? And so when we got this more Goetheana, more of a kind of Goethe Institute, Steiner, spiritual science, they are under the banner of God. And so for me, I'm not a theologian, but I'm under the banner of God. The more I learn about Christianity, the more I want to read the Bible, like really study the Bible and understand, in a stand, overstand, the Bible. Because when I listen to the scholars and when I listen to why Steiner was important, when Krishnamurti was bringing the gods of the New Age, it was very important that Steiner was going, hey, and people like some of the, well, no, I'm not going to include him actually, but it was important that Steiner was really embracing the Western mystics, which has got me really thinking right now about Thomas Merton. I think I'm going to revisit Thomas Merton and the Desert Fathers, because I'm really deeply entrenched now in how Hollywood and the music, I just put some hip hop on, and the crack has now happened. There is a crack in my dam. My delusions have been burst, because I went and, you know, I used to listen to Public Enemy as a kid. My mum hated me listening to this niggers with attitude and all this rubbish. And now, because my mum was Catholic, so I'm now starting to really garner what she might have been trying to help me with. But a lot of today, the churches have sold us out. So there's no real backbone in the church to really keep the children accountable under the banner of God and to have that support for your parents. But we're in a society now, I remember as a kid, so many parents were separated and all these sorts of things. And this is the plan of the United Nations. This is the plan to dismantle family, to confuse the children and to brainwash the children. And it's really important. So for me today, this was really about, they can chemtrail us, they can geoengineer us, they can do all of these things, but the synthetic cannot beat the power and grace of God and Mother Nature, which is all part of the same thing, creation. Anyway, this is so important to me as a father, battling the last 22 years as a father, the medical technocracy, and now you've got all these people trying to divide us, and with all your Palestines and your Israels and all this stuff. At the end of the day, it's children. Children in Israel, children in Palestine, children in Ukraine, children in Libya, children in India, children in Britain, children in the world, children in Western schools, children. And so for me, this is really important as a father, the children, you know. So, and the legacy of what we're going to leave. Isn't it a beautiful day? What a beautiful day! Woohoo! Yee-hoo! Beautiful day. Okay, so that is Zisha's transmission. I think there's also a galactic aspect in here. Think local, think global, and let's think galactic, and time is art, and all that stuff is good. So, but this is an annihilation of the new age, of the goofy gurus and the tricksters, and really this is the burning question, how am I to remain human? 6 honest serving men, they taught us all they knew. Their names are what and when and why and how and where and who. Man is the master power that moulds and makes, and man is mind, plural, and evermore he takes the tools of thought, and shaping what he wills, brings forth 1,000 joys and 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass. And on that note, make it a great day. From my heart to yours, Brother Zish, on the mountain, heading west. Make it a great day. Bye for now.